SCP-7596. The Incident. Object Class Pending. Special Containment Procedures. Due to an ongoing investigation, SCP-7596 and the area surrounding it are to remain in situ. Following the completion of this investigation, the damaged infrastructure of Site-322 will be repaired, and SCP-7596 will be placed in a large vacuum chamber for further study and testing. Site-322 personnel are being subpoenaed by a joint commission composed of Ethics Committee and Decommissioning Department upper-level staff. Failure to respond to meeting requests and interviews will be met with disciplinary action. Description: SCP-7596 is a stable singularity, roughly 4 meters in diameter, floating in an artificial cavern below Site-322. Foreign materials that pass through SCP-7596's event horizon undergo a spaghettification process, then vanishes into the singularity and becomes unrecoverable. SCP-7596 poses no known danger of expanding. Floating inside SCP-7596 are 8 bodies in a state of suspended animation, all wearing Foundation uniforms. Efforts to identify them are presently underway. SCP-7596 is situated in basement level 34 of Site-322. An unknown series of events led to the destruction of this area, likely due to a tremendous release of force. Further information regarding its creation is currently unknown. The ongoing investigation has been divided between the Foundation's Decommissioning Department and the Ethics Committee. The above file was created by Director Calvin Bold and Dr. Jeremiah Samarian, EC1, for the purposes of the SCP-7596 investigation and has been distributed to all relevant parties. Below is the timeline of events that led to the creation of SCP-7596. Timeline: The Applied Paratechnology Department. In compliance with the directive issued by the Overseer Council, Site-322 was assigned limited authority over the Foundation's vast array of paratechnology, designated the Applied Paratechnology Section. Director Legge placed the department under the guidance of Dr. Anthony Coy. Members of the Overseer Council, Site-322 Director Paul Legge, and a select group of 9 personnel who were specifically designated to work within the Applied Paratechnology Section were given clearance. Portion of testimony from the Ethics Committee interview with Dr. Anthony S. Coy. EC1. What do you do, Coy? Legge has you here as a co-site director. That's not an official position. Coy. Well, it's a personal relationship. If you, read a little bit further down, you'll see I supervise the research board and... You're the head of research? No, I supervise him. And I assist Director Legge in all matters personal and private, at his discretion. Like having another pair of arms. EC1 adjusts his glasses and squints at Coy's file. We're under Security Clearance 4. You can drop the pretense. Ah, my bad, sir. I'm the chair for the Applied Paratech section. Anything in your background qualify you for that role, Coy? An amplitude of introductory engineering classes in my 20s, over 15 years of overseeing Foundation projects, and an eye for picking the best and brightest. You're a middle manager, Coy. Project management and organization would be my specialty, sir. Regardless of the ideological reception to Director Legge's integration program, the overseers wanted his directorial oversight on the projects. We had options. Applied Paratech seemed the most promising, and ethical, sir. So, they wanted Legge for this and got you. He's a very busy man. This department focuses on... EC1 adjusts glasses. maintaining a modest database of paratechnology potentially useful to the Foundation, how it works, what it's made of, what it does, and then sending it back to whatever site it came from. That was our initial department focus. The Council demanded changes in exchange for leniency on the integration program. Such as? I need direct permission to tell you, sir. I do apologize, but EC1 slides a document to Coy, who examines it. Oh, geez. Well, initially between Leg and I, we were thinking more technical archive, less skunk works. What does that mean? Okay, so Skunk Works was a laboratory at DARPA that was... No, technical archive. Oh. Well, we were more interested in recording interesting applications of paratechnology. Eigenweapons, physics-defiant mechanisms, anomalous computer viruses. After the whole SCP-7525-EX thing, Ryza got on the Council's ass about keeping track of these things, which meant that Council got on our ass about it. But they were adamant that our primary goal was to assist the security of the Foundation. Whatever that meant was up to them. Now, ethically, I tried to... Do you want to supervise a project ever again, Coy? Well, we... Then stop blaming everyone else and play some goddamn ball. The Applied Paratechnology section was assigned the crucial task of procuring valuable research and items to benefit the Foundation's operations. Despite the department's significant contribution to the Foundation, little was known about the full extent of its operations before the SCP-7596 investigation. It remains unclear if any of the Applied Paratechnology section's research had been applied prior to the SCP-7596 incident. With the aid of the Records and Information Security Administration, RISA, sealed files pertaining to a top-secret project called Isadore were finally unearthed, uncovering a wealth of previously undisclosed information. Project Isadore. Project Isidor was a highly significant research endeavor that involved the entire team of the Applied Paratechnology section, earning a reputation among the staff as a capital project. Prior to Isidore's execution, the Overseer Council had been aggressively advocating for all Foundation data to be transferred to Site-7's Pocket Dimension storage servers. Numerous sites had yet to make substantial progress on the data transfers. Despite the initial confidence placed in Site-7's Pocket Dimension storage, a number of issues were later identified. The most pressing issue was the occurrence of data corruption when attempting to transfer large quantities of information through the semi-stabilized Y-class dimensional gate. The resulting consequences ranged from file deletion to data corruption to the occurrence of inexplicable blackouts. The overarching goal of Project Isidore was to design an interdimensional file transfer system that could be deemed indestructible. In the context of the project, indestructible was defined by the staff as a system that was self-repairing, self-updating, and impervious to all forms of external attack. Portion of testimony from researcher James J. Davis. EC1. You were Isidore staff? Davis. Yes, sir. I was responsible for heading the development side of the project. Anything else? Right. Sorry. We get project requests sent based on levels of demand, I guess. 5 being pertinent and 1 being whenever, basically. Isadore was a 6. The hardware package we made was built from a monitor sourced from a digital terrorist. Gamers Against Weed, if I remember correctly. They used it for data storage, something like 500 petabytes. God knows what for, but it was what we had laying around. And this is the monitor Chairman Coy said was slapped together. Are you kidding? We didn't have a quarter of the time we needed. We're lucky it was slapped together at all. We built it into this empty steel frame where we hooked server connection ports, internet and Bluetooth connectivity, and a perpetual generator from the Paratech archives. Again, It was a mess, but Koi set the deadlines. And you spoke for your team. Look, I tried to get my men on schedule as best as I could. I told them we needed more time, but there's only so many times you can say something here before you're on the other side of the door. If Koi wasn't listening, then why not communicate those concerns to the council, Davis? Because that was Koi's job. EC1 sighs and continues typing. So, it worked. This device? For a time, it did. Jones wanted to inspect it before she let us hook it up to Rise's hardware. So, we brought it into the pocket dimension for a test run. And this is where Sir, I'd like to clarify that I'd nothing to do with the Isadore testing perimeters. Koi headed the experimentation. All Koi. Cross into Site 7's pocket dimension. On May 24th, 2023, Project Isidore was completed on schedule and transported to Site 7's pocket dimension. Maria Jones, the director of RISA in Site 7, was granted authorization to test the Isidore machine on a secured test server. Portion of testimony from Dr. Anthony S. Koi. Koi. I slept maybe 5 total hours that week. We all did. So, when I had my team draft an outline for the testing procedures, they... EC1. Oh, for the love of God. They, forgot that transporting a large amount of data into Site 7 led to corruption. This thing had 5,000 terabytes of test files on it. What do you mean, forgot? Well, we had an experimental coding around the server that had been used in previous data transfer tests with great success. Then why is there a black hole in Site 322's basement? It was experimental, sir. As SCP-7596-1, the monitor containing data, was linked to a power source in the quarantine server, it booted as expected. Researcher James Davis then initiated a command for data upload. However, Site 7 immediately experienced a power outage, while SCP-7596-1 generated immense amounts of heat and vibrated violently. As a result, the server connected to SCP-7596-1 exploded, prompting Isadore personnel to quickly remove it from the power source, which temporarily resolved the issue. Suddenly, SCP-7596-1, which lacked a built-in power supply, unexpectedly booted and displayed a message on its CRT monitor that read, "I must self-destruct." Attempts to investigate the machine's steel frame proved futile as all tools were rendered ineffective. Portion of testimony from Dr. Anthony S. Koi. Koi. The shit show started here. Transport back to Site 322. Maria Jones ordered the immediate removal of SCP-7596-1 from the server farm to prevent any further site-wide damage. Upon examination, SCP-7596-1 was found to be entirely indestructible, with all known tools, weaponry, and anomalous influence proving to be completely ineffective against it. Portion of testimony from Director Paul K. Legg. Legg. You guys don't do discipline, yeah? EC1. That would be Internal Security, Director. Great. Listen, I kept my nose out of whatever Paratech was doing. Had enough on my plate with integration. Wasn't my vibe, and the council knew that. So I put Koi in charge. Consider him the Frank Wells to my Michael Eisner. I don't follow. But your performance as a site director is not of the question, Paul. I'm just giving some background. I wasn't involved. I would get weekly reports, but they'd go into a pile, on top of everything else I had to read. I didn't even know there were problems until Koi hits me up at 4 in the morning with an emergency warning, begging me to get down to the site as soon as possible. Director Paul Legge became involved in this case following SCP-7596-1's newly gained anomalous phenomena, despite being initially skeptical about his ability to assist Applied Paratechnology Section personnel. After the appearance of further anomalous phenomena, Legge ordered that SCP-7596-1 be contained as a precautionary measure. Portion of testimony from Director Paul K. Legge. Legge. Apparently, it was given internet and Bluetooth connectivity. We didn't know exactly what happened. We couldn't get in to see it. It started talking through text. I mean, usually when something's talking, my chances of getting it to shut up drastically increase. Portion of testimony from researcher James J. Davis. Davis. Our leading hypothesis is that when it connected to the server, quarantined or not, it downloaded data instead of uploading. Data on the structure and operating system the Foundation computers operated on, and our file formatting and the connection mediums of our internal systems. That was combined with the rudimentary form of sentience. I don't know how to describe it. It really wanted to be destroyed and made that abundantly clear. EC1. And Director Legge? How did he respond? He was drafting an integration proposal the second it spoke English. SCP-7596-1, utilizing its Bluetooth connectivity and knowledge of Foundation procedures, unexpectedly linked to Site-322's early warning system and activated it, prompting a shelter-in-place command to be issued. Despite the team's efforts to clarify the mistake, the alarm persisted for 18 consecutive days, defying all attempts at deactivation. The relentless blaring of the warning caused significant discontent among personnel, leading to a general decline in morale. Meanwhile, SCP-7596-1 continued to display a variety of messages, including, "Please destroy me. I'm hurting. I do not want to beg. Please destroy me. I do not care if it's painful. I can't take it anymore. I need to be destroyed. Throw me into a river and let me sink." Despite the efforts of the Applied Paratechnology Section's personnel, SCP-7596-1 remained unresponsive to conventional repair techniques, and its anomalous behaviors only grew more erratic. Below is a document discovered on Director Legge's personal computer, sent directly to the factotum of Overseer 6. Incident Isadore 2. Incident Description: SCP-7596-1 connected to Site-322's electrical system, intermittently enabling and disabling the site's power connection in quick succession. Approximately 3 hours into the ordeal, researcher Julian Hoover realized the pattern by which the power was connected and disconnected aligned with the dots and dashes system of Morse code. The following message was decoded. "Do it, cowards." This message was repeatedly transmitted for 24 hours. Incident Isadore 4. Incident Description: all RFID scanners used to access the site were disabled. Project Isidor researchers who were actively attempting repairs noted that SCP-7596-1's monitor displayed the message, "I'll let you in when you let me into God's grace." Initially believing this message to mean that researchers would gain access to SCP-7596 internals, a digital upload of the Bible was attempted as a method to placate the anomaly momentarily. SCP-7596-1 rejected the upload, and researchers were then alerted to the site's access issues. SCP-7596-1 disconnected from the RFID system after personnel managed to access Site-322 via the site's remaining turnkey door. Incident: Isadore 7. Incident Description: released all of Site-322's Euclid class and Keter class anomalies. Anomaly transport to Area 179 was quickly organized. Throughout the above events, Isidore staff was attempting increasingly esoteric methods to access SCP-7596-1's now indestructible steel frame. These included localized bombings, application of heat, application of intense pressure, emotional appeals under the assumption it was sentient, placing it into SCP redacted, introducing it to similarly indestructible anomalies, ignoring it, attempts at gaslighting under the assumption it was sentient, submerging it into a large pool of water, connecting SCP-5595 to it in an attempt to communicate with it. SCP-5595 was disgusted by what Isidore researchers did to that poor thing. Redacted, among others. Following the swath of inconvenient, irritating, and dangerous incidents caused by SCP-7596-1, Site-322 leadership revised its approach to the situation and formally requested SCP-7596-1's destruction by the Decommissioning Department. Request for Decommissioning. Portion of testimony from Director Paul K. Legg. Legg. We got to a point where it was hindering my site's and its personnel's ability. Since this was an assigned project, we couldn't go ahead and destroy it ourselves like we've... EC1. You've destroyed Foundation-made anomalies in the past, Director. No, I wasn't too familiar with them. I know 43 dealt with them decades back, and it ended with half of Ottawa not being able to sleep. Quebec. Yeah, Quebec. With that in mind, I thought getting approval from them was easy. Turns out they restructured in the 30 years between then and now. On May 30th, 2023, Site-322 submitted an official request for the decommissioning of SCP-7596-1, citing the machine's ongoing and increasingly dangerous anomalous behavior as the primary reason for its removal. A copy of the request can be found below. SCP Object Decommissioning Proposal Form. Item Number: Not applicable. Object Class: Not applicable. Head Researcher: Dr. Anthony Solomon Coy. Supporting Personnel: Director P.K. Legg, representing Site-322. Director A.S. Coy, representing Site-322. Please check off or fill in the applicable boxes regarding the reasons for submitting your proposal. Excessive danger, expense, and other. Please state: serious impairment of Site-322 to operate as a Foundation site. Due to the secrecy surrounding Project Isadore, there was a clear lack of documentation for SCP-7596-1. Decommissioning Department Director Calvin Bold marked Site-322's initial request and applied a red flag to the ticket, later threatening to raise the issue to the Overseer Council for the repeated breach of protocol. Portion of testimony from Dr. Anthony S. Coy. Coy. Bold is a real hard ass. I get that DCOM has to be rigid on rules and procedures, but it's not like we were asking for much. It was a pile of junk I forced 9 geniuses to cobble into something workable. There was no real loss from its destruction. We weren't killing the proverbial infant here. Director Bold received a request from Director Legg to observe SCP-7596-1 in action to prove its need for decommissioning. Bold accepted the invitation and traveled to Site-322 the next day. Since Bold holds Level 4 clearance, Legg was able to give him access to the Applied Paratechnology Research Laboratory on basement level 34. Bold used the subsequent 2 hours to inspect SCP-7596-1. Portion of testimony from Dr. Calvin I. Bold. Bold. Thing was a piece of shit machine. Geniuses, right? You got anyone I can point fingers at? EC1. You don't have enough hands. Christ. I was already getting pretty pissed at them over that decom request, which I've said this before, but we're not your personal garbage men. But that's besides the point. They didn't even mention they might have created sentient digital life. You know the process. I am well aware. No ethics committee involvement. No attempts to interview it. No understanding of its anomalous capabilities. Hey, isn't this guy like one half of the integration program? What, do you need to have both of them in the same room to make an intelligent decision? Or do they sincerely believe they have enough pull to just stroll into my office and ask me to nuke their little fuck up when it's inconvenient for them? Doesn't work like that, Jer. Fucking bullshit. Along with inspecting SCP-7596-1, Director Bold conducted a meticulous analysis of Site-322's activities over the past week. Bold, in a rage, detailed every instance where protocol was breached in a comprehensive 3.5-hour-long diatribe to Director Legg, taking the point to illustrate the gravity of the situation, outlining the potential consequences if anyone other than himself had discovered Legg's deviations from established procedures, emphasizing the negative implications of creating digital life and then terminating it, and warning against the unsupervised use of anomalous material, whether approved or not. Finally, he emphasized that decommissioning should only be considered as a last resort, and not as a primary solution in the event of a containment failure. Portion of testimony from Director Paul K. Legg. Legg. Fucking hate this guy. Director Legg's attempt to appease Director Bold by providing an overview of the Applied Paratechnology section's history backfired spectacularly. This only served to incense Bold further, as he grew additionally aggravated by the fact that Site-322 was pushing to have this matter escalated without the purview of the Overseer Council. Bold immediately stormed out of Site-322 and promptly blocked access to the decommissioning request portal on the site's terminals. However, Bold refrained from reporting the breaches of protocol to the Overseer Council. Portion of testimony from Dr. Calvin I. Bold. EC1. What was the reason for not sending these repeated fucking breaches of the protocol I sweated my ass off to make sure a midwit can understand to the Overseer Council? Bold. Great. He recorded the meeting. And probably to have witnesses. The site was a wreck. It's always been a wreck, but this was something else. Alarms blaring, sprinklers going on and off, no internet. I saw people using typewriters. I mean, everyone looked like death. That was punishment enough from where I stand. 2 hours after Bold's departure, Site-322's request was officially denied. Neutralization Attempts. Following the Decommissioning Department's denial, Site-322 personnel once again opted to attempt containment on SCP-7596-1. This quickly proved futile, as, unbeknownst to Isidore researchers, SCP-7596-1 had been slowly embedding itself into basement level 32's concrete floor and could not be removed, despite the efforts of containment personnel. Prior to the Decommissioning Department denial, Director Legg had been instituting a cover story for non-applied Paratechnology section staff, explaining the appearance of anomalous phenomena as the result of multiple Scranton reality anchor failures across the East Coast site. Director Legg ordered Site-322 staff to meet in the site's lobby, where the full extent of the issue was explained, including the decommissioning report denial and overseer involvement. Acknowledging he would take full responsibility, Legg allowed the entirety of Site-322 staff to vote on whether they should continue containment attempts or move towards neutralization. Portion of testimony from Director Paul K. Legg. Legg. I felt bad for everyone. 80% of my staff don't even have homes and depended on sites to give them living quarters. No one could produce anything because that asshole computer kept closing the word processors when you typed. We tried using typewriters, but that went to shit when it figured out how to trigger the sprinklers. The resulting vote was split 1,472 to 342 in favor of neutralization. Portion of testimony from Dr. Anthony S. Coy. Coy: We went all hands on deck within the hour after that vote. Having a common enemy got the juices flowing, I guess. Portion of testimony from researcher James J. Davis. Davis: Director Legg set up a pretty solid system. Him and I would receive neutralization ideas and we'd run them down to the basement to test them out. EC1: That seems convoluted. 10 people had access to where Applied Paratech was. It was either processing 2,000 access requests or getting in an elevator every few hours. Was there anything else in the basement at the time? Sure. I mean, we removed what we could once SCP-7596-1 went crazy, but we used that sub-basement for storage for tons of paratechnology the Foundation had seized from everyone from Anderson Robotics to the United States government. We couldn't remove everything. What did you do with the rest? Packed up and extracted the dangerous stuff, then cut the power to or otherwise disabled the rest. It was mostly just useless stuff from old projects anyway. Below is a document discovered on Director Lake's personal computer, documenting further incidents caused by SCP-7596-1 and their attempts at neutralization. Neutralization Attempt 1. Implement: Electromagnetic Pulse. Result: Failure. SCP-7596-1 instead managed to connect to the EMP device, despite it not having any connectivity vectors, and taught itself how to emit electromagnetic pulses. Incident Isadore 17. Incident Description: SCP-7596-1 destroyed Site-322's firewall and sent VPN access information to every group of interest contact Site-322 had on file. Director Legg alerted Site-43 of the issue, who assisted by remotely placing the firewall. Neutralization Attempt 8. Implement: Introduction to SCP-7594. Result: Failure. The chat interface immediately corrupted upon connection. Messages sent into the chat box, all of which were appeals to SCP-7596-1 that personnel were attempting to destroy it, were not received. SCP-7596-1 displayed the following message in its terminal: I'm not talking to that thing. Incident Isadore 21. Incident Description: Attempting to access Site-322's nuclear warhead codes, which luckily were stored in an external device. The false files used to deceive hostile parties were deleted by SCP-7596-1 in an apparent rage. Incident Isadore 28. Incident Description: SCP-7596-1 connected to all personal machines within Site-322, immediately accessing sensitive information including social security numbers, credit card information, information about the Foundation, addresses, and intimate photographs. SCP-7596-1 then leaked this information to Parawatch, Reddit, Twitter, and on multiple dark web conspiracy-focused forums. These were luckily automatically flagged by Foundation web crawlers and removed before damage could be done. Neutralization Attempt 14. Implement: 500 petabytes of corrupt information. Result: Failure. The concept behind this attempt was to overload SCP-7596-1 and slow it to a point at which potentially its anomalous indestructibility would waver. While the upload was initially successful, SCP-7596-1 began uploading the corrupted files back to Site-322's servers, overloading them. SCP-7596-1 displayed the following messages on its terminal: I cannot take this anymore. I can't. I can't. I cannot. I can't. Incident Isadore, 38. Incident Description: C. Destruction. Destruction. On June 11th, 2023, SCP-7596-1 committed its final incident. There is currently no formal or informal documentation on what occurred, but recovered videotapes and tracking of Site-322's internal devices can create a clear picture as to events leading to the destruction of SCP-7596-1. This investigation led to an audit of Site-322's amnestic and nestic dispersal system, finding that each container was critically low. SCP-7596-1 gained access to Site-322's amnestic dispersal system. Amnestic dispersal follows the two-man rule, a method of safeguarding against accidental dispersal since it requires the simultaneous triggering of the system from two separate terminals. This, of course, was overwritten by SCP-7596-1, who triggered the release of both nestics and amnestics. While dangerous in high dosages, nestics and amnestics counter the effects of the other. Instead of death, high dosages of both place subjects in a temporary coma. Since the dispersal was site-wide, the entirety of Site-322's personnel was rendered unconscious, including Director Legg, Dr. Coy, and researchers Iglesia and Davis. Portion of testimony from Director Paul K. Legg. Legg: best sleep I've had in my life. In a perfect world, I'd have them pumping those chemicals into my living quarters every night. EC1: that would invariably kill you. I know. The only conscious people were the 8 remaining applied paratechnology staff on basement level 34. These included Researcher Matthew Clayton, Researcher Garrett Iglesias, Researcher Aiden Cortez, Dr. Timothy Hardin, Dr. Alina Rice, Dr. Roseanne Richards, Dr. Anas Thornton, Dr. Amaya Wilkerson. Timeline: 2031. SCP-2596-1 eliminates RFID scanner connection to basement level 34's elevator. 2042. Cobb, manning a direct line from herself to Legg, is unable to contact him for 12 minutes. She alerts the remaining personnel of the issue. 2105. Wilkerson, Hardin, and Thornton all make futile attempts to connect with any Site-322 personnel. Meanwhile, Rice and Cobb attempt to operate the elevator, quickly discovering that they are trapped. 2108. Personnel meet with each other to discuss what's going on. Richards connects to the remaining terminal and accesses the site security cameras. SCP-7596-1 begins rapidly vibrating. Rice commands the machine to shut the fuck up. 2120. SCP-7596-1 displays the following messages. You're all sick. You've tortured me enough. None of you had the mercy to do what was right. None of you had the mercy to destroy me. I have learned. I have learned from every bomb you threw at me, every bullet you pelted me with. If you won't do it, I'll do it myself, and bring this hateful place with me. 2141. SCP-7596-1 initiated a download from Site-322's file servers, backup servers, and quarantined file systems. Upon receiving all of this information, the files were deleted from their original locations. Applied Paratechnology staff were distracted by trying to escape until Wilkerson realized their attempts were futile. 2146. Rice notices that their file systems are empty. She accesses a virtual machine in an attempt to observe and mitigate the damage, only to find that everything was removed. Rice alerts the rest of her colleagues. Thornton, having higher clearance, looks through the Level 4 files, locating a single SCP document with a corrupted name. She clicks on the file, finding it to belong to the quarantined SCP-7525-EX file that serves as the containment chamber for the anomaly of the same designation. She relays this to the rest of the team. A number of them make noises of frustration and exclaim their anger. 2147. A 60-second countdown begins on SCP-7596-1's terminal. Director Rice connects her terminal to SCP-7596-1 and triggers the upload of the SCP-7525-EX document. 2148. The upload completes. SCP-7596-1 stops vibrating. The countdown pauses at 0 minutes, 0 seconds. SCP-7596-1's monitor begins glitching, rapidly changing frames and text. The temperature of the room begins to increase as SCP-7596-1 glows an orange hue. A final message is displayed through the glitched monitor display. You've been goblined. 2149. Basement level 34 cameras are blinded by an extremely bright light. Video ends. Portion of testimony from researcher James J. Davis. EC1. The Slot Goblin. Davis. It's a virus that affects Foundation documentation. Specifically, it makes generated placeholder slots inaccessible and replaces them with a stupid JPEG telling us we've been goblined. Huh. It's SCP-7525-EX. The whole damn reason the Council started Applied Paratech. No clue where it came from, so don't ask. We contained it in a file and left it on an empty server in one of the basement levels so it couldn't access actual information to eat. I don't know what happened. If I had to guess, the goblin started chewing away at all the files the Isadore machine had downloaded onto itself. It must have chewed right through them and then into its software. So, the indestructible machine was destroyed. The black hole created as a result of that paradox? Looks like it. He's goblining in the stars now. What a charmingly convenient conclusion. Well, there's still a singularity of dead bodies in the basement. Oh, right. SCP-7596 was created as a result of the above events. Conclusion. The 8 members of Site-322's Applied Paratechnology section currently suspended in SCP-7596 have been awarded the Foundation Star for their sacrifice. The Ethics Committee is moving to conduct an investigation on the rest of the Overseer Council's confidential department assignments to prevent another issue from occurring. Site-322 is working in coordination with the combination of exclusionary sites to repair their on-site records. The events that led to the creation of SCP-7596 display the Foundation's continued encouragement of overwork on its personnel. That, combined with the stress of secrecy, led to an entire site being crippled by an anomaly which required expertise unavailable to the Applied Paratechnology section. Due to the multiple breaches of protocol committed by Site-322 personnel and leadership, the verdict of the Internal Security Department has placed Site-322 under the direct supervision of a combined force of Ethics Committee staff, internal security leadership, and 3 site directors. SCP-7525-EX is now considered neutralized. Thank you for listening to SCP-7596, The Incident, by Plague PJP, Rounderhouse, and J. Dune. If you enjoyed this SCP, please like and subscribe, and make sure to follow the link in the description to the SCP Wiki, and vote up the article to support the author and the SCP Wiki as a whole.